I want to welcome you all here. It's a very cold evening in Canberra, so we're very grateful that you've rugged up and come across to UNSW Canberra at ADFA. I'm Lisa Morissette. I'm the Development Manager here with UNSW Australia, and it's my absolute pleasure to be hosting tonight's event, which is an open conversation with our featured artist here as part of our Academy Library exhibition program. And we run our exhibition program partly to enrich the campus experience here at UNSW Canberra, both for our undergraduate students who are all training officers for the Australian Defence Force, and also as a full service university we have our postgraduate research and our postgraduate coursework students studying here. And so this is a really important part of our campus life. But more importantly, UNSW Canberra has been here in the nation's capital for half a century, and we certainly see this exhibition program as a really important part of our outreach back into the community and our enrichment of the community. And in 2015, obviously we're in the middle of almost towards the middle of the centenary of World War I. And what's exciting about this particular exhibition is that it's taking a very fresh perspective to commemoration and to memory and to the centenary. So we're absolutely thrilled that we are the Canberra venue for this absolutely beautiful exhibition, the Descendants Project. And with us tonight to talk about the exhibition and to share his insight as the artist is... I'm going to trip over this name, and we've just sat here and practiced it, and now I go to say it. So Mertim Gokalp. Yeah, that's good. Turkish is not my first or my ninth language. But Mertim is based in Sydney, but of Turkish origin. He moved to Sydney in 2009 and works out of a studio in Balmain. He's been a finalist in the Archibald Prize, which is one of Australia's most significant portrait prizes. That was in 2013. And he's awaiting eagerly an announcement at 9 o'clock tonight. Is that right? 9th of July. So he's also submitted a prize in the an entry, I beg your pardon, in the 2015 Archibald. So if you like what you see here, go home and light a candle for him. Mertim and his partner have recently been granted a Distinguished Talent Visa by the Australian Government, which allows him to continue to live and work in Australia. And I think that significant development has allowed him to led to an inner exploration about a relationship with his own past and certainly his own future. And hopefully we can hear a little bit more about that tonight. I also want to introduce Zeynep Dilek, who also comes from a Turkish background. And she works very closely with Mertim, effectively as his business and marketing manager, as well as close friend, very close friend. And both she and Mertim actually studied at the same university, although they didn't know each other at the time. They both studied at the Mimar Sinan Fine Arts University in Istanbul, and they met 3 years ago. Zeynep also holds a master's degree in public relations from UNSW, welcome alumnus, and also a Master's in Arts Management. So tonight, it's certainly an opportunity to hear from Mertim, but also Zeynep may be able to also add a fresh perspective. So without further ado, welcome to both of you. Thank you for coming back to join us, and thank you so much for the beautiful paintings that we see here on the wall. The Descendants Project features 20 portraits. 10 of those are of descendants of Turkish combatants in the Gallipoli campaign, and 10 of those paintings are of Australian descendants. Each of the portraits feature an object that is linked to the original ancestor, and the image springs from both the descendant and the object they hold to tell stories and to engage us as the viewer. Mertim, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about how you found and how you selected your subjects.
Yeah, sure. This is my worst part of the, I'm terrible about that kind of things. It's not my type of things. You know, I'm always preferring to stay in my studio and just be alone and paint. That's why I'm still shaking. You know, I can paint, I can, you know, doing a good job, but you know, not this. I'm hoping the camera cannot understand I'm shaking. Yeah. Probably there's editing or something like that after that. Yeah. Just what was the thing? You know, the anti-vibration. You know, it's on the camera.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. Just I'm gonna turn back to the our topic. Actually, when I came here, I decided, hold on, I just need to build the sentences in my mind first, because also in my English is not so good. After I got my visa, which is distinguished visa, I decided to do something about to Australian nation and also for my nation, because it was very great honor for me to have an Australian to be an Australian citizenship. I just wanted to show my respect, and I just comes out with this project, and after that probably the difficult part is find the correct people, because this project is very important, and at the same time it's very serious job, and I wanted to involve the correct people in this project. And in this part of the project, I just go to the Zeynep, and I wanted to help. She's quite cool, she's I think it's cool, it's not like correct word, but
okay,
this is my word. I can say very easily. She's quite professional. What we did, the Turkish side was very easy for us, because we knew people, we knew correct people, yeah. And also it has been published. Many people just turned back to us, and we did a kind of elimination or something like that, because about 100 or 150 people just...
Every time you say the number, it goes up.
Really? Don't say that. Okay, make
60.
Make it 60. Okay. Wow, there is a huge difference. Okay. And we just, have a look at them, and we just search their background, their family history, and also the objects was very important, because the objects just make this project valuable and interesting and powerful. We also, have a look at the objects and behind of the story behind of them. Am I speaking good?
Yes,
okay.
You're doing fantastic.
Because no one, I'm just trying to see some expression from your face, but everyone just smiling a little bit, I'm just trying to, understand, am I going good or not?
Great.
Okay, thanks so much. Just tell me sometimes. All right. Did I explain everything? Yeah, cool.
How did you find the other side?
Maybe you can do that.
So, as he, just explained, he got an interview with a very well-known Turkish reporter in Turkey, and the story got published, and we reached to a lot of people in Turkey. But we did have a bit of a hard time selecting the Anzac side of things, because we wanted a variety of people. We just didn't look for Australians, but also people from New Zealand. We tried to get somebody with some sort of Indigenous background, which unfortunately didn't happen, but we got a lot of connections because of that. And we found them mostly through Facebook groups that helped quite a lot, and also friends and family.
Oh, I was like that.
So you said that the object was very important, because the object itself needed to be powerful. When we look around the room at these 20 paintings, what we also see is 20 very powerful people, and regardless of their age, regardless of their gender. I'm interested in what you were looking for in the characters themselves as much as the objects. Was there anything specific that was catching your eye, or that you were looking at in terms of how you thought they could be painted, or You know, did you eliminate them? How did you keep in and keep out?
Yeah, actually, I didn't have a look at, any technique details. Maybe I should do that, because some of them was very difficult. Some of the people, their face was tricky. Not Emily. He's sitting there. He was quite, easy. The important thing is I choose people because they're emotional, not the who they are, not the how they are looking. The important thing was they just need to give correct value in this project, because also it should be important for them, because they're gonna hold the story, they're gonna hold the all the the thing I just trying to explain on the painting. Of course, I just try to do a variety about age or the gender, because it's differences are kind of I don't know how to explain that with my English, but kind of rainbow, because I don't know how can I explain that. Varieties, yeah. Okay, whatever. And what was the question?
Just how you chose your people.
Yeah.
Making sense from a variety point of view.
Yeah, and objects was important because most of them, as you can see, very shocking. For example, I've got a glass eye, and his grandfather was actually wearing this on the war, and it's very meaningful. It's very it's just kind of part of his body almost, And also there was a diary that was very important because all the emotional things when their grandfather was fighting in the war, he was transferring all the feelings, all the things. It was very available for me actually, or for everyone actually. And also, do you have any idea? Could you help me some?
Of course. Do you want help? Do you want help with that? So yeah, I think you were talking about Yalchin. His grandfather lost his eye spying on the enemy and trying to look for them in Gallipoli, and he got that glass eye. And then Jan came with the diary, which was kept by her great uncle, who died in Gallipoli, and the diary was given to her great grandfather, I think, and he kept on going with the diary. And then we have Gökalp there,
oh, yeah.
And his surname comes from one of the hills in Gallipoli, because at the time they didn't have a law for surnames back in Ottoman times, transitioning to Turkey, and they had to pick surnames, and they came from a family of soldiers, and they thought it would be significant to get that surname, the Gökalp surname. And there are many, many more stories that we can talk about.
That's great.
Thank you, Zainab.
Of course.
So I just want to introduce, we're actually really privileged today to have the mother and sister of one of our Anzac subjects here with us today. And we also actually have one of the subjects themselves. So Emila Ali, I'm just going to invite you out very briefly and very spontaneously.
Am I going?
You're staying as well. I'm just going to pass the microphone down this end. I'm wondering if you can tell us, what was it like to be painted?
Well, it's not something I've ever had done before, so it's a very interesting process. We did it over a couple of weekends, I think, at my mom's place. Well, actually, it was at my place. And yeah, it was it is humbling experience. It is something that hopefully will go down in history in some way, where I can tell the story of my great granddad.
Can you tell it now?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask that. Basically, he was a gunnery officer, and he served in many fronts. Gallipoli was just one of them. So he had basically a history of war. And we're actually just sort of looking into history more and more. So this came at a perfect time. My mother, who's in the audience at the moment, she's got a bit of a personal project to find out more and more history of my great-grandfather as well as other people throughout the family. So this is actually, it definitely came at a great time, and it's very privileging, very humbling, and Mertim's a great artist for sure.
Tell us a little bit about how he works from your perspective.
Well, he's very pedantic. As you expect, he is definitely an artist. He takes his craft seriously, and you'd expect that.
Okay, you can say it's crazy, isn't it?
I wouldn't expect anything less. And I think from the results of all the portraits, I think we can clearly see that he is very talented at what he does. And when he goes into detail, in the end you find out exactly why, and it shows with all the portraits, I think.
We won't ask Mertim to comment on you as a subject.
He can, I don't mind.
He was great, yeah.
And when you see yourself amongst this group, what's that sensation?
It's an honor. It's not something I really would have. If you asked me last year whether something like this would happen, I would have laughed. I would never have thought something like this would come along. And my mom is the one that actually helped find the project as well, through Zaynab, which is good as well. She knows a lot more about the family history than I do, and so she helps a lot through that. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Please join me. So we have 20 paintings hanging. That is a huge project. Tell us when the project started and how long it has actually taken.
Could you explain this, please, a little bit?
Ne zaman başladınız çalışmaya, ne kadar sürdü?
Okay, it was easy. Actually, we started 2 years ago, isn't it? Almost 2 years ago. We just investigated. We wrote our manifesto, because why we are doing this. And after that, we just found the people. Each painting, I think it took at least 3 weeks, because it's a huge process. It's not a painting. We are starting with a drawing, and the most important thing is actually you should know the people. You should understand because the most difficult part of the painting, about portrait painting, is you should give the correct aurora of him, of her. The solution is, if you want to do that, you have to know them as much as you can. Sometimes you are catching their a kind of mimics on their face, and it gives you a very, very important idea. And because sometimes I change my composition, sometimes because of their emotions, their aurora, and I just did many drawing about it, and after that I decided to do actual painting. It was very hard work, but I didn't know that, because if I knew, probably I should say 10, maybe.
20 paintings, so what you're saying is after you researched 20 paintings in 15 months or something?
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal output. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Were there more that you didn't hang, or that you went from drawing to deciding not to paint, or you had 20 subjects and you took all of them from sketch to finalisation?
Actually, I just left 2 of my painting. I decided I'm not going to do that. I didn't like the composition, but I used the same subject with a different composition. They are in my home, and they are in my home at the moment, and I'm looking every single day to them. But the rest of them is going very well.
I think that certainly did go very well. Part of the exhibition also contains a suite of letters from the subjects, written in both Turkish and English. Can you talk a little bit about why they're a really important part of the exhibition?
Would you like to do that? Or me a little bit? I'll do that, so after that.
So halfway through the Descendants Project, Mertim actually started asking people to write letters, personal letters, about how they feel about the project, just for his own sake. He didn't even tell me. And then we started receiving letters. And I was like, or questions about the letters. I started receiving questions about letters by email because I was doing most of the correspondence. I was like, what letters? And then I found out that he started asking people, saying, could you just, put in so many words, how do you feel about this? And maybe a little bit about your family history, so that we can have an emotional bond. And people responded really, really well to that. Many were worried, especially from the Turkish side, that they wouldn't be able to write in English. So we decided to keep them in Turkish. We said half of the project is Turkish, and what it matters is that they have to be handwritten, so that reflects the personality of his subjects, and forms that connection. So that's how we started collecting letters, and then some of them were just so beautiful. We decided that we could hang them together with the portraits.
I'm going to give my answer. The reality is, I have a struggle about the compositions and everything. And after that, it was very difficult, and I just wanted to give same difficulty to them. That's why, no, it wasn't like that, but it was very good idea. I'm just realizing it was a very good idea to know their feeling about this project, and actually it helps me very, very, very well, because of the painting. I remember I had a couple of different things on their painting about the letters, and also I believe the letters just make the project stronger. That's my answer.
So which painting did you have the most difficulty finishing?
I'll say.
I'll keep this secret.
Okay. Honestly, a couple of them. But I think the most tricky one was painting. Gallipoli War was very difficult.
And just tell us who that is and what the object is.
He has a, I don't know the in English, but opponent.
Yeah, he's wearing part of the uniform.
Yes.
So he's downstairs with donkeys.
Yeah, it was one of the Turkish subject, and I didn't have any other chance to change my composition, and I didn't want to. Actually, what I could do, I could easily change the composition, but I just wanted to, paint from the same, I don't know how can you explain that. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit Turkish, and maybe she can help me.
I'll help you.
O içinde bulunduğumuz, paylaştığımız atmosfer, yani beraber tanıştığımızda kurduğumuz beraber seti, o seti terk etmek istemedim. Yani tamamen kompozisyonu değiştirip başka bir yere koyabilirdim ama ondan haberi olmayacaktı. Ve o anın büyüsünü kaybedecektik. Dolayısıyla beraber yaşadığımız, tanıştığımız anda kurduğumuz o kompozisyona sadık kalmak istedim. Ve zorlayarak o resmi çıkarttık.
There will be a lot of judges here, so one big breath. So he could have easily changed the composition, But he didn't want to do that because he did not want to lose that magical moment where they connected when doing that specific composition. So he had a moment captured with that specific composition, and he shied away from changing ends. So that wouldn't break the bond. So he challenged himself and completed that specific composition. Hope I did well.
How'd she go?
Cool. And
Like you wouldn't really know.
Actually,
how
you can-
accurate
you
that
can-
was.
There are a lot of techniques. You see sound like.
Well, it's always difficult to translate the nuances,
Yeah,
the selection of the words.
I'm gonna give you one example about it. I'm hoping everybody won't get angry for me because, for example, when I went to Emre'nin house, I saw a kind of he's wearing on the painting a kind of
Vest.
vest, and actually the vest was I think two size smaller for you, but I really like it, and you can see maybe this expression on his face, what I'm doing here, I'm squeezing. But I think it was very, it was very, it worked on the in the composition and also, I think it's make stronger the candles expression, the lights expression, because that kind of vest wearing in Turkey, wearing a kind of writer things. And the candle is a kind of, I don't know, for me, maybe not for you, always remind me, you're writing just nearby the candlelight, kind of old style writers. That's why I gave it, this way. I'm hoping it didn't hurt you. Yeah, that's the follow example.
So in the paintings we have these beautiful faces, these really important objects that are very unique to each subject. And then we have furniture and also very stylized backgrounds, very, very unique and very definite backgrounds for each subject. That's a lot to pull into one image. Tell us what you were thinking, as what you were looking for in pulling all of those elements together to get your composition.
Okay, would you explain it a little bit? I couldn't understand small details. Yes, please.
Hem arka planlar var, hem mobilyalar var, hem de spesifik objeler var birçok resimde. Bütün bunları nasıl bir araya getirdin? Nasıl hepsini bir resmin içine, canvas'ın içine toplayabildin?
It was hard. I think the most important thing was the colors and their shape, because the shapes always gives you a kind of feeling. And most of the Turkish size furnitures and the background is oldish, because we found a kind of special. What was it called? Okay, it was a building, old style building, and full of furniture. And then I saw the space, and I just thought, said to myself, okay, I'm going to use this space for the painting, because there was full of furniture from the World War I, which is very unique, and it was perfect matching for my with my project. Actually most of them was it happened random, because I was just like a crazy when I see the building and full of furniture and full of kind of background, because I think it was a 10-room place or something like that, and I was running just like a crazy. Oh, found another object. I found another object, because the objects was in my painting is very important, and it was very fun, to find something new. And I was open the drawers, open the wardrobes to find another thing from the World War I in this periods of the history. And yeah, and after that it was very easy to combine them, because after that it was just technique, the shapes, and you can see in this painting, all the oldish, paintings just I don't know how to explain them.
They're piled up. In the
Yeah, they're
background.
piled up as a background, and the movement, the shapes give you kind of energy. It was the easiest part for me. This is like that. And I have one more.
So I'm interested, you said the one that took you, that was the most challenging to satisfactorily finish. If you had to take one home and have it on your wall, is there a favourite that you've got?
Most of them, yeah.
That's a big house.
Because I gave all my time and effort, and I think it's all of them. It's really important for me and very unique. Probably I can't pick one of them. It's impossible.
No, killing the darkness.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So eyes and hands, they say, make a portrait, and certainly eyes and glass eyes in this exhibition make a portrait. I'm interested, I'll just pull a couple out for you to talk to from a story perspective. I'm really interested in the portrait that none of you can see because it's sitting here on our left at the back of the room, but please make a point of getting up and having a look at her. She actually became, she was Turkey's first female fighter pilot. Sene Güney, is that how you say it? Sene?
Shana.
So I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about how you found her and how she danced onto the canvas for you.
Actually, she found me. She was a very strong character actually, and she really wanted to be in this project. At the first election, I wasn't planning to paint of her, but after I saw her, patient, and I just decided to, paint of her, and I think one of the most difficult and beautiful at the same time portrait. I'm just thinking, could I understand the question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Quite well.
Yeah, and you can see on her face how she's dynamic and how she's strong, because I think it was a very hard thing to be a pilot in Turkey, especially if you are female and in this period, because we are talking about 50 years ago, and she was very strong, and I'm glad to involve her in this project. This is a very strong painting for me. Yeah, I'm so glad.
I also know that we've got the Commandant of the Australian Defence Force Academy here who happens to be Air Force as well. Alan, I'm wondering if you want to just come out and add a little bit about what makes this painting so powerful from a historical perspective as much as an individual perspective.
Being a fighter pilot myself, when I walked around the collection, it was one of the first things that grabbed me, obviously, as being an Air Force person, to see the fact that a woman in 1957, I think, when I worked it out, she joined the Air Force and then became a combat pilot, is something that is just remarkable when you think about where we are with gender equality around the world at the moment. And not only that, from the point of being what they call an F-86, which is a Sabre, which is one of the frontline jet fighters during that time, which is one of the first jet fighters that we had. It's actually the second, but it was the first supersonic jet fighter that was built around. And to see that she had flown that in a country that I guess, in my context, I hadn't thought of them in that time period flying Sabres at that point. And I think your description of her as a strong woman is the first thing that jumped out at me when I looked at that. And it was then when I read the actual piece of paper beside it about what she was and what she'd done. It just, to me, the painting actually captures exactly that person in that. So, but also she not only flew Sabres at that time, she flew C-47s, which we would know as a DC-3 or a Dakota transport airplane, which is completely the other end of the spectrum. So the talent that this woman had, the dedication that she would have had at that time is just remarkable. So, and I love it. That's the one I'd take home. If I could take it.
Sorry for that.
What's also lovely is that Sinead's object that Mertim's painted her with her official, the official military discharge papers of her ancestor, I beg your pardon. And in another beautiful piece of synchronicity after retirement, she's actually gone on to become an artist herself. I'm sure that the conversations.
Yeah, we did. It was making 2 times harder this painting because I was dealing with another artist. There was a possibility she didn't like her portrait, and she could say no, I could do better. Oh my god. We discussed about the portrait and composition because she knew everything about the aesthetic, and she just wanted to, okay, you're gonna put this I don't know how you're calling that, scarf on my neck, and because I just wanted to cover my all neck. And after that she didn't like her standing pose. I think she said that I think it's not that dynamic. I just wanted to put my hand just like that. And also, we discussed about the background. She didn't like the background at the first stage, and we just changed. And she set the light sometimes, because she didn't like the light. She thought it was very contrast, and she knew. But she said that, okay, I don't want to see my wrinkle that much. Just turn over the light just a little bit further or something like that, and just show okay. Because I was doing this, you can easily give the expression if you catch the all the details of the face. But she didn't like it. We just decided together all the composition and all the even maybe sometimes colors. Yeah. What's happening?
Thank you. Is it important that, do you shy away from capturing the really hard emotions? So they're very poignant paintings, but human emotions such as regret or despair or loss, is that a hard thing? Is that something you prefer to avoid, or is it something you tackle front on?
Bu seride genel olarak yüz ifadeleri daha sakin ve hani biraz daha yumuşak. Sen acaba daha keskin yüz ifadelerini capture etmekten, onları yakalamaktan çekiniyor musun?
Kendine sansür uyguladın mı?
öyle de denilebilir.
Actually, the first thing I was thinking while doing these portraits, the war is over, and they need to be calm. They need to be calm and peaceful, because this is a very peaceful project. I didn't want to give very strong emotion on their face. Normally, my general paintings, my own paintings. Of course, they are my own painting as well, but my style is a bit edgy normally. That's why I'm always using a kind of expression on the people's face. But this is different. We are talking about a kind of project very serious, and very, peaceful. And I think I thought, the portrait should be very calm and clear and peaceful.
Have you done a self-portrait?
Yeah, a couple of times. Yeah, I did a couple of times. I don't like it. I don't know why. But can you imagine you are looking to yourself, very long time. I don't know. I don't like that feeling. I think it's a bit kind of narcissistic, and I'm not. That's why I just a few of them. Even though I don't know that they are, I'm just putting somewhere because I don't like to look at myself on the painting.
Some artists cut their ears.
I'm not planning to do that.
So you did have to turn up to the New South Wales Art Gallery on Friday afternoon with your entry for the Archibald Prize, is that correct?
That's right.
We actually delivered it on Monday, on the first day.
Sorry, I couldn't understand the question. I thought, it's going to be
Monday
announced.
morning.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's going to be announced.
So what's it like? My understanding is that you've got to tuck those paintings under your arms and you have to take them in yourself. Talk to us a little bit about what it's like handing over your baby or babies.
I assume you are talking about my performance, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, first of all, I should explain my performance. What I did this year, I just delivered my own painting by wall. We are talking about 10 kilometers?
Yeah, well,
8 kilometers, okay, I'm in this race all the time. Yeah, 8 kilometers or something like that. Because it was my occupation. This year I paint one of the very famous painting of Caravaggio, and I just recreated it. I changed the composition a little bit and the figures, but the name still was about sacrifice, and the name was Models of the Sacrifice, because what I was thinking, all the models just giving their bodies and their face for the art world, and most of the time we don't know their names, who they are, because always we are calling the paintings under the painter's name. And I just wanted to show my respect to all the models around Australia, or around the world actually. And so I just put one of my models instead of Christ figure. I put the name Sacrifice of the Model on this painting, and my own sacrifice was, just carrying my painting, huge painting, to the art gallery. I think it was very interesting because I think we was on the news.
we were at the
Yeah.
SBS.
People like it. people like to see probably artists suffer. They like it. We are struggling, It was just like that, and it was fun.
So what is on your next project?
I've got a couple of ideas in my mind, actually, but I'm always planning to my next couple of years. I'm just gonna give you some hint. I'm not gonna say all of my project. It's not going to be that much peaceful. It's going to be a little bit edgy than this, but it's still going to be very social, because what I like about this project, I felt very privileged, and I felt very, important, because I was involving a very important project, and I felt very honored. And after that, I just decided to do another project, because most of the time, I wasn't project based at the first stage. I was painting what I like, and now after this project, I just enjoy doing something helpful, something social, And probably the next project is going to be very social and helpful.
Anyone else?
Are you going to be taking this project back to Turkey?
Yes, we are planning to do that. I would love to do that actually. It was the first idea, but we can't get some help for that because it's a very huge process to, taking, delivering the 20 paintings to the Europe, and economically and also physically, it's very huge job. And we are still in contact with some of sponsors, but it's not for sure. But I'm trying to do my best.
So we're privileged enough to be showing this exhibition until the end of August. So please come back again and please bring your friends and your family. It is a very special exhibition. We also have one more event that's taking place in conjunction with the exhibition. And I'm just checking the date so we get it right. On the 6th of August, same bat channel, same bat place. And we're hosting a double book launch. So UNSW Canberra, because of our unique relationship with Defence here at the Defence Force Academy, has particular expertise in Australian military history and that research that goes on under our Australian Centre for the Study of Armed Conflict in Society. And so, of course, the centenary of World War I is very important to us here, and we've been certainly leading a lot of the historical interpretation going on as part of that centenary. So we're very privileged to be hosting a double book launch from Associate Professor Mesut Oya, who's our Ottoman Fellow as a Turkish military historian, was adding to the Turkish commentary tonight, and also academic Chris Roberts, and they've jointly published books which interpret the Gallipoli battle from both sides of the hill, both from the Turkish side and the Australian side, and that'll be a double book launch back here. So we hope you can join us at that. But in the meantime, please tonight enjoy the exhibition. Do tell your friends and come back again. And most importantly, Zeynep, thank you for your thoughts and your interpretation. To the family and the subjects who've joined us tonight and shared their ancestry so generously in the subjects that we've seen here tonight, thank you. For those of you that have been to campus before, welcome back. For those of you that are here for the first time, we're so glad you now know how exciting things that happen in this academy library are. Most importantly, I'd like to ask all of you to join me in thanking Mertim for what is a very special exhibition. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you for having me, and also, just suffering my poor English and, my terrible anxiety. Thanks so much to being here. It was a great honor to talk with you. Thanks so much.